Hello, everybody. Welcome. Just a quick sound check. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. If you can hear me on YouTube, please show me some signs of life in the comments section. Thank you very much. All should be good. Any questions, comments, please request to speak. We have the video up. Everything looks good. Let's do quick data review. Tesla stock is up 1.7%. Rivian stock is up 13%. Don't you wish you bought Rivian at 11 a.m. this morning? Wouldn't that be nice? But we can talk about the event if you wish. We can talk about other things. Overall stock market is up 0.2%. Dow Jones, Nasdaq up 1.4%. S&P 500 up 0.9%. All megatech companies are up today. Financial stocks are down. Nvidia up another 4%. Meta up 3%. Google up 2%. Tesla, Amazon up 2%. Microsoft up 2%. Apple up 1%. The yield curve is about flat, except the short end of the curve is down a little bit. The long end of the curve is up a little bit, so it's a little twisted. Crude oil at $79 per barrel. Oh, live chat is live today. Interesting. Initial weekly claims came in as expected and prior. Continuing claims ticked up again to 1.9 million. Productivity came in as expected. Unit labor costs came in slightly lower than expected for Q4, but still at 0.4%. And that's the major macro data. Let me see who's in the chat. Any questions, comments, please request to speak. Oh, I see Jimmy here. Jimmy, how are you?
Good. Sorry I lost my blue check mark. I was insulting a friend of mine by switching my photo and forgot that I lose the check mark. Um, Everybody wants to talk about Rivian. I know they do because the event just happened, and the only thing I can bring up is how are they going to deliver? They introduced three cars instead of just the one everyone thought. They can't even deliver their R1, so how are they going to deliver the other two? That's where I want to start the topic.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, but hey, Jimmy, first of all, thank you for sending the mic. I just got the package and I really appreciate that.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I just took delivery. I haven't had a chance to open it up just yet, but hopefully sound quality will improve even further in the coming episodes. I don't really have thoughts on Rivian, to be honest with you. I mean, let's read the article. I didn't even watch the thing. So let me just read this article from Reuters. See what's what first. EV maker Rivian unveils smaller, less expensive SUVs crossovers. Rivian on Thursday unveiled its smaller, less expensive R2 SUVs and R3 crossovers amid a slowdown in demand for EVs, and also said it would start producing the R2 at its existing facility in Illinois to ensure deliveries in 2026. Rivian shares were up 10% on Thursday afternoon. R2, with its starting price of $45,000, well below company's flagship R1 SUVs and pickups, is seen as critical to Rivian's success. High interest rates have led to a sharp slowdown in demand for EVs, which are typically more pricey than gasoline-powered cars. Rivian had previously planned to produce the R2 and at a yet-to-be-constructed $5 billion plant in Georgia. but some analysts have questioned the need for building the factory amid slowing demand for EVs. Rivian said the decision to produce the R2 at its facility in Normal, Illinois would help the company deliver the vehicles in the first half of 2026, cut the amount of capex needed, and reduce the risk to the launch. The move will help the company save more than $2.25 billion, it said, adding that it had sufficient capital to fund operations through the launch of the R2. The R2 is a five-seater version of the automaker's larger R1 SUVs and offers more than 300 miles of range. Rivian produced 57,000 vehicles last year, said growth this year would be flat as it upgrades intend to cost and improve margins. Despite the immense popularity of the SUVs and pickups in the United States, ramping up production and generating demand beyond the initial wave of enthusiasts has been an uphill battle. Offering affordable EVs, blah, blah, blah. In a surprise move, Rivian also unveiled its R3 crossover and a more powerful R3X variant on Thursday. The R3 will be priced below the R2 and launched after that vehicle. Crossover refers to a vehicle built in blah, 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 blah. Okay, so nothing new. Um, yeah, good luck. I wish the best. I wish the best. Any questions, comments on Rivian? Please request to speak. Any questions on live chat? You may ask. Sounds good. Audio sounds surprisingly normal. Um, Rivian R3 to kill Subaru. Dude, R3 is. Did they announce anything about the R3? Like literally anything? Did they show any sort of signs that it will actually come to market?
No, there
Nothing,
is
right?
no
It-
signs.
So
Nothing,
they
nothing at
literally
all.
just said R3.
And the other thing that somebody also mentioned too is that they didn't mention what kind of charging port they're using. Like they just glossed right over it.
Hmm.
But some people noticed that they moved the charge port to the back of the vehicle, but they never mentioned like, "Hey, we're gonna go with the North American charging standard." Like they didn't mention anything. They literally glossed right over it.
Hmm. Yeah. Are you surprised by the fact that wasn't this vehicles was supposed to come to market 2025 and then they changed the it sounds like they changed the production from a new facility to the existing facility and also pushed out production, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's now 2026. I thought it was supposed to come out in 2025 for early deliveries. Um, but yeah, I think it's 2026. No mention on the R3 or the R3X. Um, in my opinion, I feel like Rivian is biting off a lot more they can chew because the problem with them is they're not really making a lot of sales on their R1s or the Ts. They can't produce them fast enough, but they're also making vans as well. And now they're announcing three new vehicles, and you're going to have a release date in 2026. Now, the one
Hmm.
key thing that I think they have over Tesla is room, the space. Like they are making bigger vehicles than what Tesla currently offers. So I'd be curious to see if they do a refresh on like the Model Y and somehow make it bigger.
Hmm. Do you think they will do that?
I mean, gigacasting doesn't that involve like going through and reconfiguring and rebuilding everything?
Yeah.
I mean, they could come out, I guess, with their Model 2 and they could instead of making it smaller, they could make it bigger.
Do you think Tesla will do those things, or do you think it will be a kind of similar to the upgrade to the Model 3?
I think the demand in America is for bigger EVs, and I think Rivian is the one pushing that. And people are going to they made very clear everybody here wants a three-seater. Like, that's what people are striving for, are three-seater vehicles. If Rivian can deliver, why can't Tesla? Now, how that looks from a Tesla standpoint of remachining, re-engineering, I have no idea. That's way above what I would know.
Yeah. Ken?
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. I did see the reveal on watched on YouTube, and I have watching again on YouTube. And what I see on stage is the R2 and the R3. Unless I'm surely sorely mistaken, that's the R3 sitting right there. So they did reveal it today.
Yeah, they revealed
Do
the
we know the
R3.
price, Ken, for the
We
R3?
don't we
No,
Do you
we
don't
have
know
don't.
any
the price.
plans? Jimmy, can I speak? Ken, what details do you know about the R3? What can you tell us about it?
All they did is rolled it out. They didn't give really any detail about it, anything about price. They did say all their cars were going to be over 300 miles in range. The R3 is smaller than the R2. Um, so that's, I mean, they didn't give a lot more specifics on the R3 other than that. And just to back up a second, Rivian did sign to go NACS, and they are giving their car drivers an adapter to the supercharger network. So they have access to 12,000 supercharging network locations. So they have the supercharger network, and they're going to be building out their own supercharger network. So there was a lot discussed today.
Do you have Rivian stock?
I do not. Like, give me a second. I get it. What is it? RIVN?
Yeah.
It is up 13%.
No. I'm asking you if you own the Rivian stock. Do you have any potential conflicts of interest?
No, I don't have any Rivian stock. I sold that after the IPO and made some money and said, I'm out.
Okay, just hold on for 1 second. Machine, do you hereby swear that there's no food in a 5 feet radius of you? I will need a verbal affirmation.
Correct.
Please place your hand on the Bible and let the audience know that today there's no food within the 5 foot radius of your person.
I hereby solemnly swear to abide by the rules of the spaces, and I will not eat while in the spaces, nor will I ever even make a chewing sound, or dare I say swallow while speaking in this space ever again.
Ken, are you willing to be the witness to the defendant's testimony today?
Oh, man, that's a big ask. But yeah, I'll go with it.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
trust them.
Thank you. Well, that's a big word, especially for an anonymous account that has multiple times violated the rules of the space despite many, many warnings. Okay, so what do you have to say to that?
Rivian will be the only automaker by 2025.
Why don't you just talk for like 10 minutes while I submit the edits to my Seeking Alpha article on Rivian?
Ooh, exciting. By the way, I just loaded your Tesla article. I will be reviewing that later. Listen, all you need to know about Rivian is that a few weeks ago, their CEO was on CNBC and had the biggest apple in his throat, swallowing, gulping motion before he said that they would be gross margin positive by the end of the year. They're just basically lying to us. And I think it's all these unveilings. Obviously, the R2 was expected, but unveiling the R3 and whatever the other vehicle was called is all just to, pump investor support for their incoming capital raises that they need, because they are losing so much money that there's no way they would be able to continue without raising more money. And I on this news, I've bought more puts. I had a little bit. I bought a bit more. I don't know. Obviously, they're not that highly valued if you compare it to Tesla at like $10 billion. But I mean, they're just burning money, and I don't see a path right now for them to even get gross margin positive in a year. And so I expect more pain before things turn around for them, which I will give a chance that does happen at some point. And I'm fully on board long term. Like, I like Rivian. I like their cars. That's a true American EV manufacturer. We should be rooting for them in theory. It's just that their financial situation is not one that I want to get involved in right now. So that's kind of my thoughts on them.
Okay. Well, I submitted an article and they gave me 2 edits to make. It was reasonable, I thought. I think they really want to cover their CYA for kind of like sell short type of articles from, I'm sure all the saga from Elon a few years ago helped shape that policy. But submitted my edits. Let's see what they say. I agree with the points that you made. Lincoln, I know that you're potentially a potential risk to the rules of this space. But I want to remind you again that you are also required to abide by them. And I note, let the record reflect that Lincoln requests to speak as I was warning machine, which tells me there's an elevated risk at this time.
Well, before he speaks, I just want to say I heard his ex-wife say he's also an STD risk. So watch out.
Okay, Lincoln.
No, I requested before all of that, and I haven't listened to this, so I don't know the new rules. So if I disobey them, just slap me and I'll learn. But I just wanted to say I got a referral. I got a referral for a car. I got my 10,000 points, and yesterday I added acceleration boost to my Model Y, and I just want to say it is awesome. Like, it's amazing. So this is before you guys were talking other stuff. So, and anyways, I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you, Lincoln.
It's
Appreciate
worth
that.
it. It's
I'm
worth it.
glad to have you on the speaker board. Let's focus on Rivian for a second. Machine, I was asked to add a section on the risks to my short thesis on Rivian. They want to be balanced, obviously, as a platform, I guess. What would you say the risks to your sell/short thesis is on Rivian?
It's a good question. I would say number one is that they actually are telling the truth, and that they get to gross margin positive by the end of the year. Then even though they're still operating margin negative and they're still losing money, they might be able to raise cash a little more easily, and people value them more highly, even though they need to raise more money. And because people are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and there's no reason then they couldn't go up in valuation. It's all speculative on what the future is going to be.
Okay. if there are any Rivian bulls in the house, please welcome. You're welcome to request to speak. I will not. I will not. I will. I would like a balanced discussion. And so curious. Did you know, Machine, that do you know the short interest in the stock?
No, I probably should, considering I bought some puts. It's kind of
It's
what is it?
17%.
Okay. I know what the days to cover is.
3.
Yeah.
I don't. Do you think that's relevant? I mean, the days to cover changed a lot depending on, like, if there's let's say a short squeeze, even if it's temporary. Obviously, volume surges, and you can cover whatever you want. 13% today.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue too much. But yeah, it's a good point that there's a risk there on people covering
Yeah.
and pushing
When
the
did you
stock
buy your
higher.
When did you buy your puts?
I mean, I had a little bit from like a week ago, and then I bought some more today, just like an hour
Oh,
ago.
really?
But yeah,
Is there a week ago options puts? Have they lost value right now, or are they kind of benefiting from the IV surge?
the IV surge kept them. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not really an ideal time to buy because of the IV went up. But so yeah, I don't think it's a great like investment. So I just put a bid in. But the other risk is a buyout. If they get to a point where they're not hemorrhaging so much cash, and if they are valued, like they are now, $10 billion, then someone might swoop in and scoop them up. Amazon, Apple, they want to get into that market, and they see now
I should have added that as a risk.
turn the corner, and that's a very fat,
You know what I'm going to do from now on? One way I'm going to monetize these spaces is, I'm going to type up an article as a talk and just add whatever you say, real time. I can actually automate that too.
Yeah,
like speech to writing, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
speech to words. What's it called? Anyway,
Live
where's YouTube?
captions?
Yeah,
Auto transcript.
Yeah, exactly. I could do all the transcript as machine talks, but that would mean a lot of editing work. Anyway, Drew says, looks like Rivians will still take up to 2 charging stalls. Interesting. Rivian charge port location is on passenger side backside. They should have moved it to the driver's side backside. Story just posted by Rivian, other plants halting construction. Yeah, we know that. We talked about that. Reuters article said the same. I think the more important point here is about the plant construction thing is this R2 was supposed to come out in 2025. They canceled the second plant because they can't finance it. They moved plant production to the existing plant because the R1 demand is down. So they're gonna have space, which means why did the production of R2 get pushed back to 2026? It should be 2024. If you're making that change, your plant production should be pulled forward, not pushed back. That makes zero sense. Machine, are you on a website? Are you doing web spaces? Is that why you're waving? You're waving at me?
Yeah, I don't have a hand raise.
The problem with waving at me is it's temporary, so I'm not going to see it if I'm not looking at my screen.
So I'm just going to have to.
Do you think I'm constantly looking at your logo?
No, that's why
I literally have one eyeball looking into your eyeball to make sure
that's
that
why
you're waving.
I'm just
That's
going to
presumptuous.
I'm just going to talk.
Okay, go ahead, and then you'd see.
You just totally distracted me. What was I even going to say? I don't even remember.
You'd see. Go ahead.
Nothing important he was going to say. I was just going to say that I think the capital markets will be pretty receptive to Rivian over the next couple of years, and that'd be by far the number one risk to the short thesis would be if the capital markets continue to support Rivian, then Although there might be some major dilution, that doesn't necessarily mean they can't raise billions of dollars and bridge the gap.
Well, I just put like 2 bullet points into this stupid CYA section that I asked for. So um, I hope that they kind of get it out before the market closes, but they got 35 minutes. Machine.
Yeah, I was going to say is, can we try to compare the timelines for Tesla's next gen vehicle and Rivian's? Are they really going to come out at the same time? Like, is Tesla further ahead than Rivian on putting together a production line for this? Or am I missing something?
They're just blowing up smoke, man. Do you think so? Yutsu, do you think they can raise capital? You remember
Yeah.
the last time they raised capital was a convertible debt, right? Is that not true?
Yeah, that's correct. But last year, and I think they can. I think they can continue to do convertible debt, or like just normal stock. I think they could do both. They just need to go big. I told them to go big last time, and they didn't. 2 billion is not enough. They need to go really big.
I think they're going as big as they can. Don't you think? They already raised like 20 billion plus.
I know we can't directly compete or compare with Tesla because their financials were substantially different at that period of time. But almost anytime Tesla did capital raises between like 2013 and 2018, their stock actually went up following the days of the announcement, and there was almost always more demand than there was. Like they raised at the higher end of the demand guidance when they did capital raises back then. So we'd have to see what Rivian's looks like when they do more capital raises. Probably not going to be quite as receptive, but that could actually be like a de-risk thing if investors are like, "Hey, we'll give you an extra $2 or $3 billion if that can guarantee us 6 more months of runway or 9 more months of runway."
Would you invest in Rivian? Would you participate in a capital raise?
I mean, it's tempting just because I think.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, $10 billion is basically nothing. And if you think there's going to be potentially more than one EV player, I think Rivian is kind of solidifying itself as potentially the number 2 EV player in the United States.
Can I ask you why I'm hearing myself while we talk? Do you have are you watching us in multiple screens?
No, I don't think so.
Machine?
Yeah, I mean, the point on capital raise is a good one. But I think that the difference is kind of many companies do capital raises, and then the reactions are often different. It goes in either direction depending on the sentiment of where the company's at. And I think for Tesla was always gross margin positive, and I think that helped give confidence to
False.
they were almost always gross margin positive, except for like one quarter. That's what I meant.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And that gave confidence when they go to raise capital. People know they just need this money to grow, and eventually, they're going to have the operating leverage to turn profit, cash flow positive. Whereas Rivian right now is far away from that point. So if they continue to have significantly negative gross margins when they go to raise, I don't know if investors are going to see that as a big positive necessarily, because it's really sentiment. Just do they see this turning the corner or not? If they are not confident it's turning the corner, then the capital raise is just dilution, and it reeks of desperation. So it really depends on when it happens and where Rivian is with their finances. And I mean, I agree with you. Like, it's tempting if Rivian, even at this price, if they turn the corner and their gross margins were getting closer to zero, then Rivian at 10 billion is a good buy. And if it went down, if it went down to 5 billion, I would probably buy, assuming the finances were possibly getting better. But it's still too risky, in my opinion. We just don't know if they're going to make it.
Well, to figure out if they're going to make it, I just created a poll on YouTube, live chat. Rivian in 2025 survives or bankrupts? If we have any Rivian bulls in the house, please request to speak. Wessex, how are you? Can you, Wessex, I have a question for you. Why do you think Rivian will be able to produce? Give me 3 reasons, or even 1 reason, that Rivian can produce R2 profitably, even though they haven't proven to be able to produce R1 profitably at double the price. Matthew, Donegan, Ryan.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Let's skip the
guys hear me?
pleasantry. Can we skip it? We need to skip the pleasantries, and asking if you can hear me is an immediate removal of the space. We're limited to 60 minutes, guys. We don't have any seconds to waste. Let's go. We have 28 minutes. Come on. You'd see.
I think the whole platform of R1 wasn't really designed very much to be. They didn't really they weren't looking at the cost side very much with that. I think the whole goal of that platform was to get a vehicle that they can bring to market that can help with around the IPO time, and that's what the platform did. And so if they've had several years to focus on costs, I think that's why there's a chance, not necessarily a guarantee, but a chance that the unit economics could work on that platform. And if they do, that's all they need is to be able to tell investors that they're confident they see gross margins being positive in that vehicle, and that'll extend the runway. That's really the only goal: extend the runway, try to get unit economics to be positive.
Machine, what do you make of the fact the management call to announce an R3 vehicle, which is purely imaginary at this point, before they even start building the R2?
It's purely a play to gain support for when they raise capital. That's who else cares at this point? It's not. This is like Tesla. It's like Tesla demoing their next gen their Gen 2 vehicle when they released the prototype of the Model 3 or something. That's too far. Those are too far away. I don't know. Maybe it's like in the Cybertruck or something when they did the Model 3. It's just like it doesn't make any sense. I think it's all to raise capital, and they're good. They're flashy. The CEO is apolitical. He
Okay.
is skinny.
Meta. We're moving on. Meta. What'd you make of the R2? Do you want to talk about R2 or? Okay. Adopt dogs and Teslas. Okay, great. So let me see. I don't recognize your. Is this a new profile picture? Stender. Let me see where this. Okay. Okay. What was the bet? Rivian will file for bankruptcy by the end of December 31, 2025 with you. This is at the top of your screens. All right. What did you think of the event? Meta. Adopt dog zero mute. Okay. Um. Uh, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Meta. Okay. So, any other comments on the Rivian? Please request to speak. So, adopt dog. We have our profit bet, and that's Salon. Meta, what do you think of the management decision to announce another vehicle, R3 and the R3X, without any detail, even before you start producing the R2 vehicles, and the planned production, I guess, is 3 years away. So the other vehicle is like 5 to 10 years away, right? Yeah, yeah. Um, pumping the stock, I think. Tesla 420. Okay, this is Yutzi.
I was going to ask you, how much do you think Rivian could raise? Like, if they tried to tap the financial markets now for as much as they could in the next week, saying, "Hey, there's huge demand. We have 300 million orders for this vehicle, and we need to produce it as fast as we can, and we need cash." What do you think the markets would give them?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no way of answering that question. There's still a lot of trillions of dollars on the sidelines, um, dry powder. And the way Nvidia, like the way some of these stocks are trading on hope alone, you would think that maybe they would be able to raise some convertible debt. I don't know, but that doesn't make the company automatically successful. They still have to get to profitability. Like, first of all, Meta just mentioned R3 vehicle cannibalizing R2 demand. But more importantly, to their current financial status, this R2 unveil cannibalizes demand for their R1 vehicles. So How are they going to get to positive margin? I don't know. Odd strategy. But I think this is enough for Rivian. Machine, what do you think of Ray Dalio's comments at the top of it at the on your screens on YouTube Live? That Ray Dalio says, founder of hedge fund Bridgewater Associates, said Magnificent Seven stocks are a bit frothy, but not in a full-on bubble, with Alphabet and Meta platforms still somewhat cheap, and Tesla somewhat expensive, per Reuters. Machine. Okay. Meta, what do you think? Yeah. But it's not just the banks they're raising from, though, right? There's a number of potential capital sources. For Rivian, there's a zillion potential sources. You can go to price, tier price, Fidelity, or the likes of institutional investors. They have varying mutual funds, venture capital arms, private equity. No, that is not correct. There are thousands of investment firms out there, tens of thousands investment firms that want to invest limited partner capital and take their management cuts, and they do not care about your answers to the questions. So they might be able to find capital. But given the interest rate environment, the general performance of EV stocks, other opportunities out there, it's going to be harder than before, but it's not impossible. And not everybody will ask the question that you asked. Go ahead. Yeah. I really want to move on, Rivian. What do you think of FSD Europe news that came out yesterday? Florian posted FSD Europe is coming to Europe in 2025. What do you make of Tesla's upcoming event with Lars and Franz in an hour? But I mean, even Franz is not related to FSD, right? Isn't this event about the Model 3? Machine? If you did not get that reference, you should not be on the speaker board. Okay. Actually, that's not true. You can be on the speaker board. It's fine. Media, what do you think about my strategy that I pinned at the top? Tesla articles on Patreon, macro articles every now and then on Patreon, and then other articles on Seeking Alpha. So if all you care about is Tesla articles, Tesla content, sign up for Patreon, $10 tier, and you're also supporting this space, which are going to be free and open to all. Okay. And then Tesla Spaces here will be limited to about 60 minutes, which gives us 14 more minutes. And then live streams and live chat on YouTube simultaneously with screen share. And then space recordings on YouTube immediately after that with zero editing work. I don't know what their ruling is on AI stuff, but I think they advise against that. Like, I tried kind of coming up with the initial draft using various different services, and it just doesn't do a good job. It doesn't do a good job. It's not there yet. Maybe in the future. I think there are ways of leveraging it, but it still has to originate right now. Like the prompt has to be so specific that I'm like, might as well just type it in. You know what I mean? Yeah, it has to be super efficient for it to make any sort of sense. Anyway, okay. Anything else on Tesla? Let me see. No. What happened? I pinned at the top the article. Thank you, Windmill360. A Chinese national who works at Google was indicted on charges he stole the company's AI trade secrets to compromise sensitive US technology and boost Beijing. It's wild. But I guess expected, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What would you, I mean, what would you advise as a management team when you see this? I mean, they're aware of these things, obviously, right? Wessex. Just FYI, I submitted an article to Seeking Alpha on Rivian, and they requested some edits. But I think what they're doing is stalling until market close. But it's just a speculation on my part. That's fine. Anyway. Oh, yeah. Let's make some bets on the event that's coming up in an hour, Tesla event. So, Machine, are you taking? Nah, you gotta do more. You gotta do more than that. Come on, you gotta do more. Let's get a minimum required, like material, definition of material. They can't just say next gen vehicle. You know. But we already know that. How is that material? Has to be something new for it to be material. No, I'm not taking his side, but you're going to obviously win that one. Like I would take that bet too. We need to have a bit of a balance on these bets. Come on, I'm not going to let you take advantage of Machine. He said enough. He's been losing a lot of bets this year. We got to balance it out a little bit. True. True. Yeah, and that's all the bet you made. 100% accuracy. We haven't been making enough bets this year. Our bets are down significantly year over year, year to date period. We're not growing. The multiple on this space is going to shrink. We're not growing, guys. Come on. Yeah. You'd see that joke died. You'd see.
I don't think Tesla's going to talk. I don't think they're going to say more than like two different phrases related to the next gen vehicle. It's going to be very minimal. So I don't know how to quantify that, but if we could like take total talk time, I think it's going to be very, very minimal.
Yeah, I think that's a good way. That's a good way. We can do more than 2 minutes dedicated to the next gen vehicle. How about that? No, sentence count is not good. I think dedicated percentage of the airtime is a better way of doing it because sentence count can be run on sentence, all that stuff. So, would you agree to 1 minute? More than 1 minute dedicated to the new vehicle, new next gen. Final offer, Meta. Machine. Because I want to balance bets. This is on my exchange. Okay. I don't just let anybody come to my exchange, make these absurd bets. Obviously, you're going to win the other one. No. Don't push your luck here, buddy. Meta?
I would take that.
Oh my God. We just exposed your lack of conviction in what you're saying.
It's a
Just
strike.
hoping. What about did anyone on the board actually watch this Rivian event? How much time did they dedicate to their R3 vehicle? We can go by that. How about that? Did no one watch the event?
It was like 5 minutes they had on R3, probably.
Oh,
I
really?
did.
You had okay. How much time did they dedicate to R3?
Probably like 5 minutes because it took them a
Yeah.
little while to bring the vehicle out, and then I mean, by the time that you let the car come out and they talk about it, yeah, it's probably 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go, Meta. You're getting a deal with a 1 minute. I want to make these 1 minute jokes, but then I know the follow up that machine is going to come up with. So it's like I'm cornering myself.
You wanna know something funny? If you go to the Rivian website, you can see everything like the R2, the R3, but they don't even make a mention of the R3X at all.
Oh, yeah, that is funny. Wes, what did you think, Wes? Do you think Rivian? What did you think from the events? I know you're more balanced on the company than me and Meta. Yeah, and you have lots of experience with hardware, and do you see any reason why Rivian might be able to produce the R2 lineup profitably when they couldn't even do R1? What percent probability do you assign to Rivian producing R2 profitably? Well, you agree with what you just said, agrees with the poll results on YouTube live chat that for 2026, the poll respondents said Rivian survives. 2/3 said Rivian survives for 2026. Guess we'll have to disagree. Any other questions, comments? Please request to speak. Anything on from the board?
Do you think the Tesla event starts late because Elon's not there?
Well, I mean, Elon. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Um, man, you're craving for a coffee, that, aren't you? You think it's gonna be late? That's so funny. Oh, we have a lot of requests to speak. Tim, I'm not sure. Does anyone want to answer that? Sorry, I'm dealing with background issues. Wes, W. I don't know, but we're focused on the topic right now. Wes, can you repeat what makes you think primarily why Rivian will survive? Their problem is their COGS is too high. What do you see that will allow them to have their COGS? I know, but you said you believe their survival probability is better than a coin flip. So you must be seeing something, right? To say that. Okay. Do you and I have a bet on this on Rivian survival? Do you want to bet? Okay. Well, let's make a bet. Since you said better than coin flip, do you want to take end of 2025? Okay. No. Yeah, if they're acquired, you win. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be acquired. Why would anyone acquire them? Yeah, okay. Right. I don't think they realized they made a mistake with Lucid, honestly. Yeah, I don't think Rivian will be acquired. If they don't have anything that that would give it would have to so for two reasons. One, so acquire has to be either financial acquire or strategic acquire. Okay. Financial acquire doesn't make sense because they don't make any money. And there is no clear path to make your money. And then strategic acquire doesn't make sense because they don't have anything that Tesla doesn't do better. So I just don't see either one of those scenarios playing out. Meta. Well, I mean, whatever justification. Let's say, for example, they wanted to greenwash. Okay. If your lucid investment is allowing to greenwash already, why would you have to do it again? It's like eating, like if you're hungry, you eat 5 slices of pizza. Do you really need to eat 20 slices of pizza? And with each additional slice of pizza, your incremental benefit of eating pizza is decreasing, right? So I would answer that way. Yeah, I don't think so. But who do you think is going to acquire Rivian? What do you make of the fact that they, I guess, shifted the production of R2 from a planned factory to the existing one, and yet pushed out the plans? No, what's pushed out is R2. It was supposed to come in 2025, and it seems like it got pushed out to 2026, even though they shifted production from a planned factory to the existing factory, right? Okay. Truckers?
Towards and has really kept Model Y margins.
Point. That's an interesting point. That even though this vehicle is supposed to be a higher volume vehicle, they haven't announced a casting. Wes, what do you make of that? Wes?
Sorry.
I feel like we're forgetting a couple of topics. Meta, Wes. Can you guys think of anything?
Nothing specific right now.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, we have the all new Model 3 event with Franz and Lars in 48 minutes. We talked about Ray Dalio, we talked about FSD Europe. Yesterday we talked about Troy's estimates, margins. Meta, what do you think of Elon's comments around training compute still being the limiting factor? I don't think you get a chance to comment on that yesterday, right?
Yeah, I don't think I commented on that yesterday. I agree. I think we've talked about this in the past, right? Like if you could magically improve something, you would magically increase the inference chips on all the cars, but you can't magically do that. I was doing the math on this. If you assume that 10,000 H100s is enough to, like, let's say they have 10,000 H100s, roughly equivalent of compute. That's about how much the OpenAI used to make ChatGPT, the initial version. So let's say that's how many Tesla has. That's equivalent of 200,000 cars in terms of total cost. So it might be better for them to buy 10,000 chips and have more tokens spent to reduce the models and get like more efficiency that way than if we assume it would cost them roughly $2,000 per car to upgrade all those cars with a chip that was more powerful or twice as powerful. So you can kind of see how they can achieve like if they needed to get more powerful compute in the vehicles, they can achieve that by spending more money in data center training.
Wes, any thoughts on that? I think Wes is
Yeah,
walking.
sorry.
It's okay if you're busy. It's fine to move down to listening mode. It's totally fine. Like you
No,
don't feel obligated to speak.
I'm making noise while I'm muted. That's all.
I gotcha. All right.
So anyway, I largely agree.
Yeah, the exact numbers don't scale forever, just to be very clear, right? Like you have to keep 10xing the training compute to get a doubling on inference.
Meta, what do you make of NVIDIA's continued surge? Today, the stock is up 5%.
Yeah, I don't see any reason
In
why.
the past 5 days, up 16%.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why anything would change between now and future earnings. You know, like unless there's new data of any kind, I think it's just kind of running on momentum, right?
Well, we might get like one potential reason would be if Microsoft or Amazon announced some sort of milestone with their ASICs, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I think if Microsoft announced that they weren't buying as many GPUs anymore, that could move the market because they would probably assume that that's the big customer.
I mean, they wouldn't announce it that way, but they would kind of maybe, show off something about their own chip.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But I do think they're probably the last one to get there. They seem to be the biggest customer buying it. Moving the OpenAI pipelines over would also take a lot of time. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I think by the time they announce it, it would be more of we already have a data center and we have all this many chips already built and they're already online and we've moved compute from OpenAI to this and cloud customers should come use it as well. It would probably be something along those lines that I would expect before a major movement occurs.
Okay, so you're a potential seller of NVIDIA stock, potential short seller of NVIDIA stock, right? Why not short a company like Supermicro?
That would be better. Yeah, that'd be much easier, much less risky.
Well, I mean, I don't know that. I don't know anything about this company, but in one potential risk of shorting company like that, their short interest is probably very high already. So let's look at short interest for SMCI.
It would also just come down to I haven't looked at their PE and their market size and how much
PE
they're willing to
90,
grow.
Short interest 11%. I wonder what Nvidia short interest is. Nvidia short interest has barely risen in the last few months. Nvidia short interest 1%. Wow, that is amazing. That's so amazing.
What is the average short interest normally on stocks?
Like 1%. Depends on your industry. I mean, the other thing about Nvidia is that all sell side analysts rated buy. That's so wild.
So what you're saying is nobody is saying to sell Nvidia except me. That's a great place to be.
Well, Machine sold his position a couple days ago. So I guess he agrees with you. You convinced him.
That was not my aim, just to be very clear.
Yeah. But even if it is, like, who cares, right? Wes is still holding, but if I ask Wes what your price target is, at what price would you sell? I don't think he would sell. I don't think he has an answer to
It's
that.
such a small portion of my portfolio. It doesn't really matter.
But is there a price that at which price you would actually definitely sell?
I'm considering it already. I'll be honest with you, because it's just gone up too much too fast, and it'll come back down at some point. I just don't know when that's going to stop. But yeah, and just for full disclosure, it's kind of already past that. I had no idea it was going to go up this far, this fast. Like, it's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah. I don't think anyone expected. I mean, I don't know anybody who expected this far, this fast.
Yeah, because from my perspective, like, the company hasn't changed in like the last 5 years, really materially.
Do you know the market cap?
Yeah, I saw it this morning. It's short, like 2.1, something like that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Machine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have one person who doesn't know the market cap on the speaker board right now. I'll allow it, I guess. Machine?
it might be easier for them to start where the value is easier, and then the haptics and everything is something that there are already a bunch of papers around on how to start there. And I think they've already indicated that they're going to get into robotics. Need for the training compute, the training expertise, and having the ability to crawl the web and get the right data.
Yeah, even Elon has stopped saying it. Wessex?
Yeah, but I think you're not, I could be wrong, but it sounds like you're not taking into consideration the vehicle itself, which is needed to compete with Tesla's robotaxi network. You have to have some vehicles, and you need a purely electric vehicle. So that way you can, you have basically full ability for the software to be able to manipulate the vehicle to make all the turns, do all the updates, all that good stuff. Again, you're not buying ICE. You're not going to buy an OEM. So it's got to be electric. And that's why Rivian, I think, would be the company to go after. And just to clarify, yeah, I can see OpenAI getting it. Well, they are getting into robotics with Future AI. But again, they're going to have to jump right if they want to compete, or whoever. It doesn't have to be OpenAI, but if they want to compete with Tesla, they have to have the vehicles. And that's why I see Rivian. I mean, and I'd love to hear you guys, if there's somebody else out there. Again, I don't consider Lucid a viable company, but is there anybody else out there besides Rivian that's positioned as a purely electric company that has all these cameras already on board and, is probably collecting data?
Yeah, I would think you'd be better off buying vehicles directly from NIO or another like BYD or another Chinese manufacturer. You don't have to buy the whole company, right? Because if we're talking about just robo-taxis, it's like a one-time cost to build enough vehicles, and then after that, it's maintenance or replacement cost.
Yeah, that's a good point. I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that they would need to buy those companies.
Okay. You guys settle it? Let me ask you, how about this? I want to ask Meta, Wes, and Machine the following question. Wes Hicks, sorry. Since this is not your expertise, there we go. What do you guys think is the probability that Tesla loses the humanoid race to volume production? So I guess the top contender right now is Figure AI, backed by Microsoft, NVIDIA, and OpenAI.
0%.
But can you elaborate?
They're so superior from manufacturing capability technology than a startup that those competencies that they can leverage from auto manufacturing just give them such a head start that you would have to be able to figure out how to move faster than Tesla in design and production of the machines that build the machines. And I just think as long as Tesla moves quickly, which they probably will if Elon's still in charge, that it's a insurmountable lead.
Meta?
To play a little bit of devil's advocate, let's define what is volume production, get there first. Like, how do you define those numbers?
Machine? Oh, sorry, you asking me?
Yes.
Millions of humanoids.
Yeah, millions is large enough where Machine's point stands, right? That's more of a manufacturing challenge.
Wes?
Yeah, I was going to agree. 10,000, not so much. 100,000 to 1 million, then it's mass.
I think Yaman thought this was going to be more contentious. I'm sorry. Even I am not on that side.
Yeah, I mean the 10,000 doesn't matter, 100,000 doesn't matter, but I don't think millions of humanoids. Like, it's going to be easier to produce than cars, right?
I don't think so. I think it's got to be really fine tuned.
Wes and then Machine.
I can see a company like BYD making a bipedal humanoid android. That would be the real competition.
Okay, so you're saying if BYD joined the game along with Microsoft, Nvidia, OpenAI to the Figure AI investments, then they have a chance.
Yeah, I don't really perceive a race right now. Just to be honest, it seems like it's a fast follower. It's like, is Blue Origin a competitor to SpaceX? Not really. Is UPL a competitor to SpaceX? Definitely not. It's kind of the same thing.
I was literally going to say the exact same thing about BYD. That was my point. Not that they would buy into Figure, but they would just make their own, and steal some ideas from Tesla. There's a lot of AI talent in China. Then they could do it too. I would actually. That would be the highest risk, in my opinion. Would be probably BYD. I don't know even who else could do it, but probably some of the Chinese companies.
They decided to publish my Rivian article. It went through. It is set for 5:31 p.m. 5:31 p.m. is the Sell Rivian article that's coming out. I told you they were going to wait until market close. That's the entire point. Anyway.
They don't want you to move the market. And I know we're all very concerned about you and your 10 subscribers.
You have zero fucking clue what you're talking about. Zero clue how Seeking Alpha works. Okay. I've been publishing there for 8 years.
I remember.
And my first article moved the market.
Really?
Yeah. Let me tell you a story while you stay on mute and learn for a change instead of running your mouth without a clue.
Take a seat on Yaman's knee, machine.
My first article was on Philip Morris. And it says something like Philip Morris may cut dividend. Okay. And I did really good article. I'm real proud of my first article. This was back in March or May of 2016. I think May of 2016. And it went through their balance sheets, income statement, cash flow, and their unit sales were declining and everything. And as soon as that article got published, Philip Morris stock dropped by 1% or 2%. I think it was 2% within seconds with high volume. And there was zero news about Philip Morris other than my article that got published. And there was zero move in the markets overall. So yes, a Seeking Alpha article can move the market in the near term. Now, that is obviously not my intention. I'm not trying to move the markets. But to come up here and claim that it doesn't is just void of any reason, sports, or even consideration for data.
Okay, well, I take that back. Thank you for the information. I hope to see you publish articles on VinFast, ARM, GM, and let me see what else I need to short. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I actually had been approached before in previous years from some dubious accounts on the DMs of Seeking Alpha, trying me to publish this article and that article on a company they're probably either long or short or whatever. And all I did was just immediately forward those DMs to the management and have them deal with it. Yeah. All right. So back to humanoid discussion. We have 20 minutes to Tesla's event. Might as well just fill the 20 minutes at this point. Wes, short of BYD joining the group behind Figure AI, what would convince you that they have a shot?
Figure AI has a shot?
Yeah, a shot at 1 million or millions of humanoids.
Oh, well, they'd have to demonstrate something in real time, obviously. I mean, we're talking about they just got funded, so They'd have to show something in real time that was doing an autonomous task to tell me that they had a shot, and that would have to be within 6 months, because Tesla's going to have that within 6 months, easy.
All right. So some real-time demo where they can, end-to-end neural nets, like basically what they demonstrated, right, in real time, you're saying.
Yeah, it has to be in real time. So they have to show it walking. They have to show it performing a complex task, because Tesla's already demonstrated that. And then it has to be autonomous. In other words, it's learned it. It's not being shown. It's not. There's no puppetry going on.
Well, Tesla hasn't demonstrated real time, right?
They've demonstrated real time. It's still a bit of puppetry. So it has to be controlled by AI. The
Wait,
onboard.
when did Tesla demonstrate real-time walking of Optimus? What do
Of
I
the latest
miss?
video.
But that's the video. That's a recorded. That's not live video.
Oh, sorry, 1x speed. Sorry,
Okay.
that's what I meant. Sorry, not
Meta?
sped up, not slowed down.
Just playing a little bit of devil's advocate here. Do you guys think that as end-to-end training becomes more understood, or say OpenAI and others have some kind of expertise in it, that the moat that Tesla has in terms of what they've accomplished starts to shrink in all areas except for manufacturing?
I agree. It's going to come down to manufacturing. Tesla doesn't even have. It's not like Tesla has the best AI engineers compared to, like, say, Google or other companies. It's just, it always was data from the FSD, and now that's kind of weakening as a benefit. And so from a hardware perspective, it's what it really comes down to for the robot. The manufacturing the robot, the cost, the COGS should be lower for Tesla than competitors. They're already have an integrated system. They know how to do that because they built cars like that. But in terms of training, I mostly agree. I do think there's still going to be some real world robot data, just to even if it was just to validate, and it's still going to be hard for competitors to generate a bunch of bots to get test data. But yeah, eventually the models will be all almost, open source. I'm sure there's going to be open source models that work pretty well at some point. So I think you have to plan for that, right? Your strategy has to be one that should expect at some point that anyone could pull an open source model that works pretty well.
Let me ask you guys this. Meta, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to agree with what Machine is saying and double down on saying the culture in software is to open source things and publish how techniques are done. And those moats don't last very long. But Tesla has done a good job of keeping a culture of protecting their cherry tickets on manufacturing. And I think all these companies are really good at optimizing bits. And there's very few companies that are good at optimizing atoms. Maybe NVIDIA and Tesla are the only ones there. TSMC, some companies in that space.
Wes, let me ask you this. Do you think Figure AI at all can actually produce 1 million humanoids ever?
Highly unlikely. I mean, we're talking about
Oh,
something
wow.
that no other
Wow.
company has ever done or ever even attempted to do. Like, Tesla's, I think, farther along than any other company. I don't know. Does anybody else disagree with that?
No, but that doesn't answer my question. The question is, so you said Figure AI will never be able to get there.
Well, honestly, like, if Tesla gets there a couple years ahead of them, then they'll just take over the market.
Okay.
I think competition will demand another company. It may not be Figure. Maybe it's a Chinese company is where I would probably make the bet. But yeah, I think there'll be at least one other company. I think EVs are winner take all or winner take most, but I don't think that's the same as true for bots.
Why do you say Chinese? So then how do you reconcile that you would bet on a Chinese company doing it, but whereas OpenAI and Microsoft and NVIDIA bets on a company that is not Chinese?
Because they want to maybe adhere to national policies and things like that could be problematic if they go with a Chinese company. But It's not like the companies in China aren't going to make end-to-end networks and learn how to manufacture themselves. If you're the Chinese government, aren't you going to like really try and push for don't let us get left behind? Because if America figures out manufacturing through robots, we're left behind.
I thought we were on the same page that manufacturing humanoids was 10x to 100x easier than manufacturing vehicles. What happened?
I'm on the same page. It's still very hard. It's harder than manufacturing a phone, but easier than manufacturing a car.
Yeah, and they're manufacturing how many? Yeah. And then I was going to ask something, Wes. Wes, do you think Waymo will ever be able to have, let's say, 10,000 robotaxis on the roads?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
100,000?
that probably not. I don't think they'll ever get to that point before Tesla solves FSD. So it's just a
But
matter
not,
of
it's not
time.
it's not before. So you think that they can get to tens of thousands, but not 100,000s. But even after like a couple of years after Tesla does it, you still don't
Yeah,
think it's possible.
I don't think they can make profit after Tesla comes to market. You know, for some amount of time after Tesla comes to market.
Yeah. Do you expect any sort of mention today on new gen vehicle or robotaxis?
No, I don't. Not at all.
Not
After the
not
Leno
even one
video.
sentence.
I just joined when you guys were talking about that, so no. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it.
I was fishing for
Tesla's,
copy bets from Machine. Yaman was vetoing them because he thought the bet was too easy.
yeah, it is too easy. I mean, it's just one word, doesn't mean anything. It's not material. I pinned at
Yeah.
the top Tesla's event that's going to start in 12 minutes. 12 minutes we have. Interesting thoughts on humanoids. I'm actually surprised that you guys are so convinced that Figure AI isn't going to get to 1 million. Wes?
Yeah, I was just going to quickly mention that I think once Giga Mexico really goes into production, then they're going to talk about next gen. That's my thought.
Yeah, I got you. Can you guys give me more confidence that Figure AI can't get to 1 million humanoids? How would you convince a market participant that Figure AI combined with Microsoft, NVIDIA, and OpenAI can't figure out manufacturing? Wes?
So like Figure AI is brand new. So I realize they might have talent. I don't know the exact talent that they have, but they have to set up everything. So they have to set up a manufacturing facility. They have to build out their entire design plan. They have to figure out their, all of their AI infrastructure, all of it. It's all brand new. I think it's great that they're pursuing it, and I wish them the
Well,
best.
AI
of luck.
infrastructure is already set up with OpenAI and Microsoft, right? And NVIDIA.
Well, no. Just to be clear, like they haven't solved it yet. So once they solve it, they'll have their architecture, like their big architecture, and then they'll have to iterate on it over time. No company has done this yet. If they had, they would demonstrate it they'd shout from the hilltops.
So you're saying AGI architecture?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Well, they
Meta?
have to solve a bit of AGI, right? Yep.
Yeah, Meta.
I also think while OpenAI and Microsoft invested in Figure, it's unclear if they've given them their software. I think it's more of a Figure's trying to make the software for their bots alone, and likely they will give the hardware to OpenAI to try and do it as well, maybe with an agreement down the line. But I don't think we should assume that OpenAI's tech stack on the software side is fully available to Figure beyond maybe API access that others have.
I mean, it may not be right now, but if Tesla succeeds with Dojo and Optimus, and it's looking like OpenAI is going to be irrelevant in the future, then they will make it available to Figure AI.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the real thing to think about here is how tight is the iteration loop between the software tries to figure out how to use the hardware. You figure out the hardware's not optimized. You need to try different types of hardware, and you need to just keep iterating on the hardware. And there's no way to like perfectly know what hardware is going to be great purely in a software simulation. So you have to kind of do it in the real world, most likely. That iteration loop, I think Tesla has nailed down, and they have the right teams, they have the right practices, they've done this before. But learning that has been challenging for auto manufacturers and others. So I think what Tesla's doing in rapid iteration is quite unique compared to other companies.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting discussion. I'm not convinced. I remain unconvinced, and that clearly the market does as well. So maybe we can focus on this a little bit more, because I can actually argue the other side here. Because let's say, for example, so Wes argued 2 points. He said, first, figure AI can't produce humanoids in volume, that it's going to take a lot of work, many years to even figure that out. And I think that, I mean, obviously, Wes has millions of orders of magnitude more experience with this than I do. But Meta seems to agree that manufacturing a humanoid is 10x, 100x simpler than manufacturing a car. And there are dozens of car manufacturers. And manufacturing is getting simpler to figure out, I think, in the future than in the past for a new entrant. And then the second point Wes argued is path to AGI. Tesla will be able to do it faster and better and improve faster, even after figuring it out, like crossing a milestone. But I'm also not sure about that. Wes?
Sorry, what's your argument for them, or our argument against what we're saying? Maybe that's a better way to phrase it.
Well, your argument is that they will never be able to do it. I agree with you that I think Tesla's in a better position to get there first and have better capability. But I think it's going to be easier for Figure AI to figure out getting to 1 million humanoids than Waymo figuring out getting to 100,000 robotaxis. And even the latter, I don't think is ruled out at this point. So I think they have really good partners, and they have really, like, this is not for GM we're talking about. We're talking about Microsoft, NVIDIA, and OpenAI. Both all companies are at the top of what they do. And they have a huge incentive to work together and figure it out. So I think that there's a real possibility that they will figure it out. Wes?
Yeah, I get you. And I do think that the AGI portion is very critical to solve. The only thing that I think might sway you a bit is that you can't develop the AGI separate from the mechanical nature and the electrical nature of the bot. That those have to be incongruent. They have to be in congruency. That has to happen in a continuous fashion. Those teams have to live together. If they don't, then the bot will never walk. It may be able to do things with its hands, right? Because as it stands, it's going to be stationary. And it may be able to balance, but it needs to be able to walk. That's like the key differentiator, between, I think what Tesla's doing and what I think Figure AI is going to be doing is that these teams live together. That's their sole focus. And the bot is going to be able to walk, right? Because we're talking about billions of steps without tripping. And when it trips, it trips in a non-catastrophic fashion. I mean, that's what's happening. That's the big prize. Those things. The other things, like being able to manipulate an egg, like that, we're already seeing that, like, that's easily possible and achievable with today's LLMs and model development. So the thing that I think is really critical is being able to walk, billions of steps without tripping. It's the same kind of problem that FSD faces where, you know, we're talking about billions of miles without a critical disengagement. Same thing.
Okay. So you're saying but the thing is, Wes, your argument changed now twice. First, you said they can't manufacture the bots. Then you said they can't get to AGI. Now you're saying they can't make a walk.
The two
Those
are
are
hand
all,
in hand.
no, the three are different. You can make
Well, I'm
one
happy to
bot walk.
continue explaining how they're hand in hand.
You can
But-
make one bot walk, but not be able to get to 1 million manufacturing in volume. You
Yeah,
can
it's
manufacture
easy.
bots in volume, but can't make that much. So they're really mutually exclusive.
It's easy to make a prototype, man. Very easy. I can make a bot walk. I can make a prototype. Just give me $10 million and I'll make one. It's
Okay.
not hard.
Yeah, I agree with Wes here. Like, to make a bot walk in a particular environment in a demo is super different than to make one bot walk in many environments, and then to make a manufacturing process, which is going to introduce all the error and tolerances and all that kind of stuff, that you then have to have each of those unique pieces of hardware be adapted to the software and the differing environments. I think that's where Wes is coming from. You basically have to solve a small part of AGI to get that to work.
Okay. So 3 minutes to the event at the top. Okay. Last question. When do you think Figure AI demos a bot that's walking with 2 feet
This year.
bipedal robot this year, Wes?
Yep, I think they'll do it this year too.
And even that is not going to convince you.
But is there going to be hip tilt? I don't know. Is it going to look very robotic? Probably.
It's probably also going to be on a flat surface, at most maybe one stair.
And
Yeah,
you're saying
I'm
that it would only
actually-
so they would only be a year behind Tesla.
I don't know that that's a year, because Tesla's already iterated on quite a few different bots, and each of those iterations takes time. So it's like FSD. The iteration speed matters far more than one prototype.
Okay, final word, Wes.
the kind of determining factor, and Meta just mentioned it, is stairs. Is being able to walk on imperfect surfaces, which stairs falls into that category. That'll be a huge milestone. Whoever gets there first is then the clock is really ticking.
Or curved floors. I like that one too.
You know, I'm surprised Boston Dynamics is not in that group, by the way. But maybe there would be more.
All of their
partners later on.
stuff is, I'm not saying it's fake, but it's not AI generated. It's all hard coded, all of it. It's all heuristics. And granted, they have some really cool tech, but it's just, it's so limited.
All right, 1 minute to go to the event. At the top of your screens, all new Model 3 with Franz and Lars.
Wait,
live stream.
did you take the coffee bet that they were going to start late?
Nah, no. I mean, unless you want to do it 10 minutes late.
No, I'm not doing 10 minutes. I'm going for really easy coffee bets this year.
I know you are. I know. All right, well, I'm going to figure out this microphone situation. And 2 hours, we went again after I said 1 hour limit, but the conversation is so good. I can't let it go. Anyway, my review article is coming out in about half hour. I'm going to tweet out the link. And please consider signing up for Patreon to support the space. And I will be publishing daily, not daily, but probably, let's say weekly Tesla articles there. And yeah, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the Tesla events. Talk to you guys tomorrow.